I thought, my God, if you get James Bradbury with Darius Slay, and defense, we've talked about him over and over again. I think Kyzir White is just a really great addition. But if I had to, and obviously I've talked about Davis a million times, so I'll try to pick someone different. Bradbury's a huge addition over Nelson. That's left. I mean, we don't even have to say anything there. Son Reddick, though, with what Jonathan Gannon is trying to do with that joker role, with that Sam linebacker, that strong side guy that can play the edge rusher, that you can really move all over the place. He is literally what the Eagles needed. So on defense, I truly think that Hassan Reddick he fits here more than I feel that he did in Carolina. So I agreed with you there when you were saying it was lucky for him he had Brian Burns there. But you've got a great rotation here now. The Eagles won the Super Bowl with a rotation. They know that. Jeffrey Lurie knows that. You got to put an emphasis. Last year, I said it, 31 sacks, 29th in the league. Unacceptable. You got to get after the quarterback. So Son Reddick, I think, is going to be huge, man. Step it up. Let's go. And look, I left out Jimmy Moreland, a great depth piece, helps out on special teams, nickel. He can play outside. I thought great additions. I'm just hopeful that these guys all gel together because we don't know. We've seen the dream team.
Yeah, I got 3 players for you, but I'm gonna give a shout out to SC Experience, my Raiders brethren out there on the West Coast. Appreciate you coming through, my man. Kenneth Gainwell, I think by week 6 will be the Eagles starter. Not the fact that I don't like Miles Sanders, but I had to look at the fact that he was a dominant piece in Memphis. Didn't have a lot of tread on the tires coming out of college, and he can be a one of those guys that you can constantly just put in the game and knowing that you don't have to worry about him getting hurt because he doesn't really have still the tread on the tires that he maybe should have. I mean,
he's tough for a little guy.
Yeah, man, you guys rotated these pieces like crazy while he was out there. The other guy that I think a lot of people were scratching their heads for, but I'm gonna just say this: the last 2 years, he's had 500 yards respectfully the last 2 seasons and 3+ touchdowns, and he was not even the number 4 receiver on his team, which is Zach Pascal. I think he can easily. I know you talked about Quez Watkins, but I think he can easily move into a slot role, and people will have like the big eyes, the big googly eyes that you see on the emojis come out by week 2 talking about, man, Zach Pascal is really, really that good, huh? I don't think you guys picked him up for no reason. No. And I think that it was a severe loss for the Colts and a severe gain for you guys. And if I had to go back and look on the defense, I know this might not be the popular pick, but in the last 2 years, if you're talking about statistics with, pass breakups and interceptions, James Bradbury is the number 1 in the league. And I honestly think that he could move into that number 1 cornerback role if Darius Slay starts slacking off, which I don't think that he will. But realistically, he's got a lot to prove. Being traded from the Giants and trying to step his career back up. He is an older guy as well. So I think this year you're going to get the most juice out of him for sure. Maybe next year he might fall off a little bit and might regress with just the, age is a real thing. Not everybody's Tom Brady and Drew Brees and Peyton Manning, and some of those older guys. And Charles Woodson, perfect example for him. Not everybody's those guys, but I think James Bradbury is going to make a huge impact for you guys more than what people think. And of course, we've talked about Kyzir White. I think he's the most important piece on your defense for sure.
Bradbury is somebody that, I talked about a few months ago. I made a series where I talked about who the Eagles should add in free agency when I talked about White and Reddick, but I also added trade pieces, who I thought some guys that maybe weren't going to be on their team. So I talked about James Bradbury in that contract with the Giants, just atrocious $21 million cap hit. Said, I think the only way someone trades is if they get a new deal done, blah, blah, blah. Well, obviously it didn't happen. There were talks. They talked to the Eagles, but it didn't work out. They couldn't come to terms. So they released him. Well, now the doors open back up to try to get him on a 1-year deal. I thought, my God, if you get James Bradbury with Darius Slay. Now, we talk about this. I'm somebody that doesn't care about what you call, who, what, where. It's how is Jonathan Gannon matching people up? So each week, James Bradbury is going to play against the tougher wide receivers, where Darius Slay, he's got some faster. Now, that's number 1 and number 2 the past 3-4 years in pass breakups is Darius Slay and James Bradbury. These two together, best of luck to you. And I think because of that, Avonte Maddox is really going to shine as a nickel corner. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Moreland, a little bit of depth in there at times, but you'll see some dime. You'll see when there's, 6 defensive backs out there, there's going to be some real fun to be had here because of someone like James Bradbury being here. I had mentioned earlier, predominantly too high, soft shell up there, and you're playing a lot of zone. But I think this is going to open you up to play a little bit more man when you have Slay. You have Bradbury there. So, dear God, I thought that was a huge addition, and I couldn't agree more with you, man. I think that is a big one.